Good morning. Welcome on this cool and rainy November day. It could be worse, right? I'm so glad to see you all here at All Souls Unitarian Church, and I am especially glad to see visitors also. So everyone is welcome. And so let's just start out by looking around and greeting each other from afar. We used to do this close up. Now we just say hi. Hi. If this is your first visit here, we invite you to sign the guest book, which is in the back of the church. We have Betsy Simmons in the altar today, up here. Pulpit. She'll be carrying on. And we're also very happy to have Gordon Kramer here. And we've got a little blurb here in the order of worship that you can get to know him better. And so here we are. So now I invite you all to breathe. Breathe deeply and come into the room and be present. Be focused. Be at peace. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look in each other's faces and see communion. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together. Now let us take time for quiet reflection as we listen to the prelude. That's you.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you. I had to think a moment to recognize that I'm the prelude. So, very grateful to the church for inviting me to be here this morning. And when I was told the theme was gratitude, I wanted to do at least one of my own songs, because that's what I mostly do these days. And I didn't have anything that seemed to really directly address that. Except there's a song that came to me when I was listening to someone give a talk about the oneness of all of life. And this image came to my mind of how the world is always giving birth to itself. And as much as we can be involved in the scariness and uncertainty and the pressures of things that we're going through, that the world is always giving birth to itself, and we're part of something much larger than that. And so that was what I was writing to in this song, which is called In the Seed. I'd like to be the wind and never think about which way to go, or better yet, I'd like to be the sky the wind blows through. I'd like to be the sky the wind blows through. In the world there is a field, in the field there is a flower, in the flower is a seed, in the seed there is a world, in the world there is a field, and so it is, and so it will be. I don't want more information. I don't need an explanation. Who needs all that inflammation? Just a quiet mind. That's all I want. A quiet mind. Just a quiet mind. That's all I want. A quiet. In the world there is a field, in the field there is a flower, in the flower is a seed, in the seed there is a world, in the world there is a field, and so it is, and so it will be. Everything is liquid light, flowing unpredictably, but everything is orderly, and all of this is true, I tell you. All of this is true, I tell you, all of this. In the world there is a field, in the field there is a flower, in the flower is a seed, in the seed there is a world, in the world there is a field, and so it is, and so it will be. I'd like to be the wind and never think about which way to go. Or better yet, I'd like to be the sky the wind blows through.
Thank you so much, Gordon. It was beautiful. So welcome, everyone in the room, everyone on Zoom. Welcome. And my name is Betsy Simmons, who those who don't know me. Very glad to be back with you today. And I'd like to begin our time together with reading our covenant together, which is in your order of worship. And this is a little piece of your very beautiful, longer covenant. So I picked this piece to read together. Let's read it nice and slow. We covenant with one another that we build our connections on a foundation of love, hope, and faith, to promote justice and peace, and to show reverence for the divine within and all around us. Thank you. So now is the time to light our chalice, which Kate Mason, thank you very much, will light for us. People at home, I invite you to reach for a candle and light a candle yourself so we can feel connected in the light. And you can read along, whisper along, speak along, if you like, as I read aloud. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light in our hearts, in our eyes, in our smiles, the light touch of our care, the light of our ancestors' spirits shining through us. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have reignited the flame within us. And those last two lines are from Albert Schweitzer. Might be familiar to you. So, I would like to speak for a bit about our early Thanksgiving here. And Thanksgiving is a holiday with many meanings. For some of us, it signifies gatherings of family, friends, lots of food, football, parades. We celebrate gratitude, bounty, praise, and welcome. Thanksgiving to some Indigenous people can be a day of mourning, remembering how they were, and in some ways still are, ripped of their culture, land, language, freedom stolen, family separated, education whitewashed. Truthsgiving is a new term I learned this season, is a term to inspire dominant culture to take responsibility for this oppressive colonial history. So, while capitalism, this is kind of the extreme, capitalism can promote individualism, competition, a little bit of a mentality of scarcity, leading to greed, and then greed can sometimes breed a false need to hoard, to hold on to things, to not share. Whereas indigenous ways teach us that nature cannot be claimed or tamed, people are not property, gifts of all kinds stay alive with the sharing. And if we recognize the bounty, we can be more generous with our stuff, our homes, our good fortune, our resources. There's a lot of reparations that need to be done for Indigenous people, and also to Black and Brown people. It's an enormous and essential imperative in our culture. How to make up for 400 years of racism. Whites, as a privileged majority, have different ways of waking up, checking, changing our attitudes, our behaviors, looking at our assumptions, how we can vote, how we might get out of our protected enclaves, share the power we've been given, taken, our resources, and seek representation from other minority cultures. And not just to recognize the gifts of all of us, the struggles and the gifts. We can always connect to people who feel hurt, harmed, or denied, and really want to hear what their experience is like. And then it's our opportunity to apologize in any way we can, become an ally, make amends, and repair just that one relationship. And I feel like relationships are where it's at to change society as a whole. Can't wait for government. We can't wait for big systems to change. We can start with ourselves. If you've ever been to a diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop, anybody been to one of those? I learned recently to say, oops, when I say something that might have offended somebody, or ouch, when somebody says something that offended me. It takes courage to say ouch, to interrupt the stream and say ouch, and let it be known you were hurt or left out. And it takes a little humility to say, oops, but it's an opportunity to learn. So I like that little trick. Of all the efforts we can make, they're all worth it. So I just want to shift. So being grateful is a wonderful thing, and it can be kind of from a passive, protected place that maintains the status quo. Generosity can be a form of justice. Payback from our unearned gains and privilege is a way to somehow balance the divides that we see in our cultures. So, thankfulness as the first part of the equation. Second part, share our blessings, spread the wealth. You can imagine a wheel of giving, kind of a circle of giving. So you start with altruism, which just means doing something for somebody without any expectation of return, reward, credit, repayment. We just do it because we want to do it. Paying for the person behind you at the toll, paying for the coffee in your morning coffee when you're out. Little tiny things, and not needing to be known for it. So that elicits in the other person thankfulness. Maybe they want to pay us back directly, reciprocal, or maybe they think to pay it forward to somebody else. That person receives it, and we expand the circle of giving. So it's just a wonderful, one little seed of a gift of any kind broadens that circle of giving. There's a lot of research on gratitude, and I'm just going to list a little bit of it. So Dr. Robert Emmons, who's out of UC Berkeley, looks at gratitude and looks at 7 core ideas in gratitude. Gratitude is an affirmation of goodness. Okay, there are good things in the world, both gifts and benefits we receive. The sources can be from within ourselves, from each other, or from a greater spirit, deeper spirit that ignites our life with blessings. Gratitude is known to increase and kind of consolidate in our psyches and our bodies when we meditate on it, pray on it, sing about it, speak it, call people and say, thank you for being my friend, thank you for being my child, thank you for being that person who I can count on, sharing it. Really, no need to keep it to ourselves. In terms of physical health, gratitude has been shown to lower blood pressure, lower anxiety, lower depression, and lift or improve sleep, immunity, mental health, and optimism. Again, that circle. Social health, gratitude helps us be more empathetic. We can relate to other people's struggles. We're less lonely because we're out and about trying to make connections, and we feel a part of community. The most benefit comes from people we're grateful for rather than events. The surprise things, not the usual things we say we're thankful for, but surprises, and blessings in disguise. So challenges that we've overcome, bad news that turns into some kind of good news or good opportunity to grow or to get help or to connect to loving connections. We can use all our senses to awaken our thanks. What we see, beautiful little quote, I opened 2 gifts this morning, they were my eyes. What we hear, what we taste, what we touch, what we smell. I'm reading a book by Helen Keller right now, who didn't have sight, hearing, or speech, and she said life is either a daring adventure or nothing. She had such a 6th sense, and probably 7th, 8th sense, of being in touch with her world, through her feet, through her touch, through her, I don't know what all, but she was amazing. We can be generous in not just giving things, but with our patience. How patient we are with each other, with how well we listen. Really listen, with how we smile, make eye contact with each other. We can all welcome each other, be hospitable, be a little more friendly. And sometimes it's a stretch, but we encourage each other. So think for a minute about who encourages you to be grateful, who helps you awaken that spirit. We can be thankful for things in the past, can be thankful for things right here and now, and we can be thankful, meaning optimistic, by keeping some hope alive for the future, even when things feel really bleak. And probably especially when things feel really bleak, just that little glimmer of light and hope and positivity helps to break that darkness. So gratitude doesn't erase our challenges, of course, or hard emotions, but it can help bring some kind of balance. And I'm going to offer a little tiny exercise right now. This is kind of funny, and you can laugh at me, with me, or you could try it. So I do this in my movement meditation class. So we all have things that we're not going well, right? And get this face on like, wah, just try it behind your mask. They're real things that make us cranky. Okay, feel how that is on your face. It brings a lot of tension. And then, wow, look up, open your eyes like you're happily surprised. Wow, releases the tension in the face. Imagine if you don't have to do that facial thing, but every time we catch ourselves complaining, and we all do, to balance it out with a tiny little piece of gratitude, piece of thanks. So, wow. And then neutral in between feels like a nice place to be. We're not going to just go back and forth between those two. Okay. One other practice is, how many people wake up in the morning with an awareness of what can I give today? Many of us do. The end of the day, what did I give? What did I gain? What did I miss? Right? There's gifts all around that we sometimes miss out on because we're racing ahead, we're stuck in something. So nice little daily practice we can come into. I just want to say a couple things about some of my people in my life who have helped me with gratitude and generosity. One is my son, Jesse, who has kind of a Robin Hood job. He works for an impact investing firm. So he meets very wealthy people and helps to learn what they care about, and helps them to give some of their money that has been invested forever into anti-poverty programs, into environmental programs. And his work has really helped me work on my bias about very wealthy people, feeling like they're not very generous. And I've seen poor people, financially wealthy people can be either generous or stingy, right? There's a lot of research on that too, but there's no one conclusion. So he's opening people's hearts first and then asking them to open their wallets. That helped me. My friend Roberta, who is the queen of gratitude out of tragedy. Her son had an accident and became a quadriplegic, person with quadriplegia. And she, of course, it was a horrible struggle. It was a horrible few years. And now she just even more feels grateful that he's alive, that he's adapted, that he has helped other people in that situation. She's just full of gratitude, and she inspires me. And my last friend, Maggie, has a degenerative disease that keeps her homebound. And so she physically is very much in pain and tired much of the time, but her spirit is just totally alive and beautiful. And she appreciates hearing about all my adventures. She doesn't want to be protected from them. She gets vicarious joy, which is a beautiful thing, out of hearing about other people's adventures that she can't have. So all those things have helped me grow my gratitude. And I'm just going to say a few more things here. So doing good to feel good. My dad was a very generous person, and he always had this quandary, but it feels so good to give. Is that okay? Am I being selfish? And no, giving does feel good, right? And I don't feel it matters whether we call it selfish or motivating. Whatever helps us to give is fine. Do we want to be or appear virtuous? Are we trying to relieve our own discomfort at suffering, or really help to alleviate suffering? Whatever gets us to give, I think, is fine. I mentioned before a yoga teacher who had a big influence on me, Yogi Bhajan. He used to teach free yoga classes in LA, but he thought that it was a little patronizing to offer things completely free. So he would leave quarters in the parking lot so people could pick up a quarter and come in and make a donation. Just to have a little energetic exchange. Everybody has something to give. It might not be money, but have an exchange, which helps people feel good about giving, not that everybody has something to give. So, one more thought. If giving doesn't cost me anything, is it a true gift? Do I have to sacrifice something before I give it away? Again, doesn't really matter to me. Recycling is a form of giving. Something I've used, pass it on. That's still a gift. Somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure. Anne Frank said she became poor by giving, and that's the best way to become poor, by giving. Has anyone ever seen the magazine Yes? Good news from around the world, all good news, very heartening. And the recent issue was on abundance, how we can cultivate an attitude towards abundance, about abundance, and just there really is in the world plenty to go around if we just know how to distribute it. And that's from water to food to housing to health care to kindness. But a lot needs readjusted in our culture to try to find that balance. And let's see. How many of us have written our wills, written our legacy? Where do we want our money, our goodies, our property, our learnings to go when we're not here? And that's a really good practice. Everybody has to decide when they're ready to start that, but to begin to pass on our gifts to the next generation. So we talked about poor or wealthy people being more generous. There's something about if we've experienced a lack of food, lack of mental health, lack of housing, we may be more sympathetic to people in that particular situation, right? Generous, and we're more generous with the little bit that we have because we've been there. If we feel our wealth is unearned, if we've felt like we just got handed, won the lottery or inherited wealth, we might be a little more likely to let it go and pass it on. If you've worked hard at making, saving, investing money, you may want to hold on to it. But again, we can only work on our own sense of ethics, what we have, what we can afford to give, to pass on, and give away. Anybody heard of Giving Tuesday? Which was in your local paper, The Good Life, last week. It's the 29th. And it's just a time to contemplate how you're giving your treasure, time, talent, or the power of your voice, or being an ally. Many, many, many ways to give. Helping a neighbor, a stranger. And everything counts. Everything counts. The UU, Unitarian Universalist Association, a lot of churches recommend 5% of our income goes to church, our church, and another 5% go toward any charitable group. In Jewish tithing, 10 to 20% income is often recommended. Again, it's a personal choice. And I love the term tikkun olam, repairing the world, which is what generosity is. Small ways, large ways, individual and societal ways. So I will end with that thought, and I'm going to offer just a moment of reflection. And as we get ready for the offertory, how am I grateful and how am I generous?
Well, this is certainly the opportunity to feel good by reaching into your wallets and giving to the good works of this church. I think Russ and Jim will collect the offering while Gordon plays the music.
Okay, thank you, Kate. And I just want to also thank Betsy for suggesting the song I'm about to do, which is just one of the most beautiful statements I've ever heard in music or any other form about just, seeing that there is something to be grateful for in everything that there is. And it's not necessarily always easy to find that place in yourself to be open to it, but so the song's a good reminder for me too. It's called Holy Now, and it's by Peter Mayer. When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a sacrament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, 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 everything is holy now.
Thank you again, Gordon. Beautiful. Thank you, Peter Mayer. And thank you for all who contributed your offerings to All Souls. We're going to move into a little bit of practices. So for people who know me, have been to a few of my services, I like to do some reflections at first, and then I like to move into a little bit of practice, because that's how we get good at life, by practicing. So this is a time when you can sit where you are and do the practice with the person you came with, or just do it by yourself, or you can look around and find a partner to go meet somebody new and sit with. We're just going to do a few things. So I'll give you a minute to decide that. If you'd like to do a little partner share with someone new, everything is a choice here. You can decide to do it or not. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm just going to give you a few statements, and I'm going to ask you to speak them aloud, and then you can share with your partner how it felt. Okay, so this is a little bit different from last week. So here's a little practice, saying, "Thanks for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever." You might say, yeah, right? You might say, okay, I'll take that as a dare. Try it a couple times. Say it to somebody near you and see, can you really fathom saying that? Okay, so just remember that visceral feeling. It might be a practice you take on. Next one. It takes some grace to be able to accept a compliment. A lot of us have a hard time accepting a compliment, thanks. So how about saying give the person next to you a little compliment. If you don't know them well, that's okay, just a little compliment. And the person receiving the compliment says, "Thank you, I know." I dare you. Go ahead. Give it a try. Little compliment. Give a chance for both sides to say. Or just fathom saying it. How would that be? Thank you, I know. Okay. A couple more, a couple more. How many have ever heard of the practice Ho'oponopono? It's a Hawaiian practice. And it's such an interesting practice. This is done for community healing, restoring justice in a community, but it can also be done for individual hurt and healing. So here's the phrase, and I'll tell you a couple times. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. Try that. Imagine that, being on both ends of it. I'll give you a minute. Okay. So just imagine bringing those three practices forth, any of those three practices. Thanks for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. Thank you, I know. And I'm sorry, forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I say thanks because it really doesn't matter who we're thanking. Sometimes I say thank you, sometimes I'm talking to a certain person, but thanks, just general thanks goes a long way. So, yes, so let us, you can stay with your newfound friends or you can return to your seats. And we are going to move into candles of joys and sorrows. And this is a good time, if there's anyone new in the congregation, to come up and share a joy or sorrow or concern. Also, can we do the Zoom link? I see Dan has left. Is there a way, anyone, to get those thoughts? If possible, I'd like to include us all. So I invite anyone who would like to, a small joy, sorrow, concern, or a large one, personal, communal, please, can stand up. Yes, and we'll do announcements at the end. So, here's the mic.
It's working.
I have a joy, which is my niece and her wife had a lovely baby boy a couple weeks ago. And his name is Mateo Lucas.
Nice. Thank you. Jen?
Well, I'm Sandra, and I'm known to be a bad girl. You know, I often don't obey the rules. So I want to just share a joy that 70% of the 18 to 34-year-olds voted for Democrats.
Yay! Thank you, Sandra. Yay!
And I'm Jane. I want to share Jennifer's joy for the new nephew because he's also my grandson, and I'm going to get to meet him tomorrow for the first time, which is very exciting. And I also want to light a candle of sadness for a friend dying and for her family who are sitting vigil.
Yes, thank you, Jane. Joy and a sorrow. Thank you. Let those tears roll.
Hello, just want to offer
gratitude for all of the animals in my life because I love them all, and I don't think that I give them enough love sometimes.
Thank you, Tara.
Morning, my name's Russ, and my joy is connection to this congregation. This church was built, this building was built in a matter of about 7 months in 1894, and I was curious about some of that. So this week I went over to the library, and I was looking in the microfilm of the weekly newspapers at the time, and every now and then they would print a little something about how this was coming along. And the attitude was that, I guess the city, the town was looking forward to how good this building was going to be for the town. And that people were looking forward to it, even the people that weren't necessarily going to come. And that made me feel good, and I felt more a part of something today, even though, you know, the congregation's a lot smaller than it was back then, that I'm still a part of something that's, you know, what is today from what was then. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Good morning. My name is Jim. I'd like to light a candle of joy for my daughter and her family. She gave birth 2 weeks ago today to two lovely little girl twins, her first girls after 4 boys. And Kate and I were fortunate to spend a few days with them up in Livermore, Maine this week. And it's great to see the love in that family.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, hi. My name's Ellen. I wanted to express my gratitude to all the people who have been so kind and helpful to me in the last month or so. I've been quite sick and relied on everyone to help me, and even the nurses in the hospital who cared about me and were kind to me, and my friends, and especially Tanya, who's my personal care person, and she's been, when she knew I was in the hospital, she ran and got my dog, who was left probably terrified because some men came into the house and took me out, and has looked after me all this time. And it was terrifying in a way to be in a place with no family nearby, but also really amazing how many people stepped up and stepped in and helped me out. And so gratitude is the word of the day.
Yes, thank you so much, Ellen. And Zoomers, love to hear from you. Thank you, Kirsten, for womaning the camera.
Okay, so Julia says, grateful and joyful for my sister Betsy and for her sharing All Souls community with us. Also for the reminders of how we can practice gratefulness. And
Thanks,
Gary
Jules.
Posner could definitely use some good vibes. He's having surgery tomorrow. It's a longer procedure and it's not major, but he's nervous, and the recovery activities will limit the recovery process will limit his activities. And He's very grateful for the support and care of his wife, Christy. So please keep Gary in your thoughts tomorrow.
Thank you, Gary. Wish you well. And Kate?
Hi, I'd like to light a candle for Adele Smith Penniman, who is having some testing done, and she said that she's nervous about it and that it doesn't look good. So I told her I would light a candle here for her. And also I want to light a candle for my son and my son-in-law, who are embarking on the second leg of their trip to the British Virgin Islands. They've been in Bermuda for a couple of days and weathered some weather there, and then now they're on their way. So Maisie and Anna's dad is on the way.
Thank you, Kate. One more out here, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy, and I just want to remind everyone that Marilyn Christian and her daughter Bonnie are going through some medical issues and some really hard times right now, so I'm sure they would appreciate any of All Souls people contacting them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay. And is that everyone? Okay. And we always like to light one last candle for the joys, sorrows, concerns, thank you, that remain in our hearts. Thank you. So I'd like to finish with one last poem and then the benediction, and then we'll move to announcements. Here's the poem. This morning I woke thinking of all the people I love and all the people they love, and how big the net of love. It felt so clear, all those invisible threads, interwoven like silken threads, strong enough to make a mesh that for thousands of years has been woven and rewoven to catch us all. Sometimes we go on as if we forget about it, believing only in the fall. But the net is just as real. Every day, with every small kindness, every generous act, we strengthen it. Notice even now how, as the whole world seems to be falling, the net is there for us as we walk the day's tightrope, how every tie matters. And the benediction, these are words from Eckhart Tolle. If thanks were the only prayer you ever say in your entire life, it will be enough. In my words, it doesn't matter who or what you thank. You're recording blessings in your psyche and passing the praise outward and onward. May we keep that wheel rolling. Amen, and blessed be. And now is the time for community announcements. Anybody has something to announce?
I'd like to invite anybody to the Common Giving, I guess, on the Commons at 2 o'clock today. Interfaith Council and Faithways is sponsoring it, and there is a yummy turkey chili hot meal after it.
And Thanks to Kirsten and Kate for helping prepare that meal and for being at the service. Thank you to Dan, who was here, now Kirsten. Thank you to the people doing the offerings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Molly has an announcement.
We're going to have just a brief meeting, I think at noon, just to resolve if we're meeting this week or next week, because some of the people can't be here this week. But anyway, just get together in the Chapman room, just briefly at noon, and then can you hear me now? Oh,
Now
okay,
we can, yes.
okay. I'm making an announcement about the Social Justice Committee. Some of our members can't make it today, so I think we need to have a quick meeting at noon in the Chapman room to see if we'll meet this week or postpone it to next week. So if you are here, Ellen, there's some people who are missing, so I think we need to, Ellen and I, and whoever else is still here at that point. Thank you all.
Thank you, Molly. Okay, and Russ?
Hi, Russ again. If anybody's interested in knowing more about the history of this congregation, this particular building, I'm no expert, but it's something that I've gotten to know more about. My name is Russ. Just, approach me sometime, and I'll show you what we have here in the building, in the minister's study, and in other parts of the building. Thanks.
Thank you, Russ. Okay, one more.
Good morning, friends. I'm visiting from Indiana this week.
Welcome.
And haven't traveled so far for a long time. It's a wonderful place to be. Of course, I made it in time for Stone Soup Cafe, and I brought Juanita to greet the line outside in the lovely day. And of course, our people didn't get to know Juanita, so I left her out in the rain last night, I think, but because my friend I was getting around with yesterday had a truck breakdown, so we dealt with that instead, and that'll take a while. So I made it back here today by walking down the hill. Hi, Sandra. Thank you for being here, friends, and glad you gather strong.
Thank you for being here. Awesome. Welcome. Okay. And Kirsten has an announcement.
Welcome back, Sunny. You omitted that one. Everybody, that's Sunny Miller there. She's now a Midwestern activist, but she's been a wonderful bastion of love and hope and care for Greenfield for a lot of years. Good to see you. I'm Kirsten Levitt. I'm going to put my executive director and chef hat on for Stone Soup Cafe. The cafe will be holding a Thanksgiving meal, but with a twist. So this year, we really want to acknowledge that we exist in a white supremacist culture that rests its laurels in colonialism. And so we will be simulcasting the day of mourning up here in the sanctuary on Thanksgiving Day. And we're calling our meal Another Day of Giving Thanks. And there are opportunities for you to sign up to volunteer, and the RSVP for the meal will go out as well. So prep starts on Tuesday. Well, in reality, prep started last week for me, but for everybody else who wants to come and chop and cook and serve or drive for that meal, that will happen starting next week. Also, Stone Soup Cafe is part of Giving Tuesday. And we have an issue because as a place where we really feel that we're a mutual aid organization rather than a charity, that has to do, charity has to do with stigma and haves and have-nots. Mutual aid is about people rising up to help each other. So on Giving Tuesday, although it will be part of our major fundraiser for the kickoff for our end-of-year campaign, we will have an open house. And so information about that open house will come, but we'll have soup, and maybe we're talking about doing something like cupcake decorating class or something that you can get to know us if you haven't been downstairs in a while and see what's going on with the cafe. So anyway, thanks for that.
Thank you, Kirsten. So, thank you all. And we have the final gift of our service. Gordon's back with the song Thanksgiving Eve. Thank you. And after this, please stick around and inside the church, and we'll have a little time to socialize.
So this is a song that a number of people know, and I certainly encourage you to sing along if you do. It occurred to me a little bit too late that it would be great to have had the words of the chorus in the program today. So I'm just going to speak them to you before I start, in case it helps refresh some memories that you might have known this song before. What can we do with our days but work and hope? Let your dreams bind your work to your play. What can you do with each moment of your life but love till you've loved it away? It's so easy to dream of the days gone by. It's hard to think of times to come, and the grace to accept every moment as a gift is a gift that is given to some. What can you do with your days but work and hope? Let your dreams bind your work to your play. What can you do with each moment of your life but love till you've loved it away? Love till you've loved it away. There are sorrows enough for the whole world's end. There are no guarantees but the grave. But the life that I live and the time I have spent are treasures too precious to save. What can you do with your days but work and hope? Let your dreams bind your work to your play. What can you do with each moment of your life but love till you've loved it away? Love till you've loved it away. What can you do with your days but work and hope? Let your dreams bind your work to your play. What can you do with each moment of your life but love till you've loved it away? Love till you've loved it away. Love till you've loved it away. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a beautiful day.